So yeah, it's 6 now. Well, my time. Everyone's in different time zones. So we can start. I think more people are gonna join. I see things in the chat. Oh, it's you guys. Okay, cool. All right. So yeah, welcome. I'm really excited. The whole purpose of this event is just to make making intentions fun and not so like, like I want to do this thing, I want to do that thing, and feeling kind of scattered or feeling like, how am I ever going to do that? Who am I to think I can do that? It's kind of working more with creativity to move past all of that stuff and just make it fun, make it childlike, make it free. So, oh wait, what did I do? Okay. So intentions aren't necessarily things that are like set in stone. So if you have a specific intention, for example, I think a lot of people get in this loop of like, okay, I want to do this very specific thing. So now I'm in that direction. So now I have to do that specific thing because that's what you set out to do. But I don't really see it that way. I think it's like you set out to do a specific thing and then you start to do it and you start to gain the momentum. And then you're like, oh, wow, I never knew that I could actually do all these other things. And so I think intentions have this power to make us move when we use them properly. I think a lot of times we get kind of overwhelmed by all of our intentions, by all the things that we could create. But instead of the overwhelm, I think it's like, okay, I want to go in this direction. What step do I need to take today to get closer? And what opportunities can come on the way? And yeah, I think having our own intentions is also really important because all of us have grown up like with schools, with people telling us this is how it is, and there really is no one way to live life. And so if we take other people's perspectives of like how we should live or how we should act in the world, then we'll never really find our own language, our own expression that's unique to us. And yeah, so this question here is like, many things that you have learned come from other people's intentions, which leads you down their roads, which leads you to their visions. And do you want to follow them? I think everyone here probably doesn't. And so what does it actually look like to create and follow your own course? What does that mean to you? And how can you do that in a way that really doesn't take on all of those old things that other people say? Like, if you have no limitation of mind, where would you go with that? Not necessarily saying you have to live that way because we are humans with certain limitations, but just to think that way, I think opens us up to new activities and new movements and ways of thinking and feeling. And so I want to take 10 minutes just to reflect on these questions. And you can choose whatever ones you want. You can also reflect on something else. So the first question is, what intention do you currently have? And what stops you from fully taking that course of action? So what kind of things are coming up? What confusions have you been having? What doubts have you been having? It's kind of like taking an inventory of how have you been trying to move and what's been stopping you from actually moving? The second question is, when have you followed other people's intentions instead of your own? So, how has your family impacted you? How has your culture impacted you? How has your past experiences impacted you? And from like holding you back from really going into that like totally unablaze path. And so the third question is, how is your relationship to your intentions? Do you feel safe with them? Do your intentions make you feel safe? Do they make you feel empowered? Do they make you feel excited? Or do they make you feel kind of like, nah, I don't think I can do that. So I think it's really good to kind of develop this relationship with them as if they were kind of like people in a way. How do you talk about your intentions? How do you think about them? Do you value them? Do you truly value them? And then the final question is, do you trust your intentions? So do you trust yourself to make intentions? Do you trust yourself that when those things come to fruition, you'll still be a good person? Do you trust that you won't get blinded by whatever thing you want to create, but you'll still be true to yourself no matter what? So that's a little bit about the questions. I'm gonna set a timer for 10 minutes. If you guys have any questions in the meantime, just write it in the chat or unmute yourself. And yeah, let's start now. Okay, so Karen said, I still don't know how to make intentions or kind of like move with my desires for something. I feel like my frustrations or the bad things that happen in my life or the fear that I feel don't allow me to move forward. Yeah, I think that that's a big thing for a lot of people, honestly. Um, I'm gonna say one thing in Spanish really quick. Entonces, sí recomiendo que profundizas mucho en tus miedos y los veas, ¿no? Como desde un punto, sin juzgarte mucho, pero ver tus frustraciones, ver tus miedos y ir profundizándote, como ir comprendiendo por qué tienes esos miedos y sí. Y creo que eso va a desbloquear lo que quieres crear. And yeah, I agree. Like sometimes people kind of infiltrate your intentions or try to make you change your mind about things. So I think it's definitely like big time discernment of who you want to share that with. But yeah, I think that that's really awesome that you're seeing that in a new way. And I think that also like if you share your intentions with the right people, they actually kind of join you in creating those intentions. So if you have like some big dream that you want to create and there's someone who's really on board with that and they actually want to give you new perspectives or more energy or more resources to do that, then I think that that's the power of sharing your intentions as well. So yeah, we start talking about trust. And I think that this is super, super ultra fundamental. Um, so I think that when we really trust ourselves and trust our capacity to live that intention and also to trust, you know, kind of what I mentioned at the beginning, like your intention is not like this. So if you have an intention and you start walking towards something and some other opportunities come up, you know, like maybe in Kenzie's situation, for example, like you're looking for a house. Maybe some opportunity comes up where you can move to another country or another state or another city. And so maybe the intention that you have to maybe live where you're living now, or, you know, just for example, I don't know exactly your situation. Um, like maybe as that opens up, as you have an intention of like, okay, I'd like to live in a nice space, I'd like to feel like this, whatever, and maybe that nice space is on the other side of the country, you know. And so I think that a big part of having intentions is being really open to how it might come because I think, you know, people kind of confuse intentions with desires. Like I want this very specific thing, and it's okay to have desires and it's okay to want things, but intention is more of an energy that I don't feel like it works like that. I don't feel like you have an intention that's like, I want this very ultra specific thing. That's a desire. And so the difference with an intention is like, okay, I have this idea, I have this feeling, you know. I think an intention is much more of a feeling. Like, how do you want to feel? What do you want to live? What do you want to experience? You know, and so it's more of an energy that kind of guides you into new spaces rather than something that's rock solid. Like, I want this house in Manhattan, you know. It's like a lot more open and free flowing. And so I think that as you start to move along that path, of walking towards your intention, so many things can come up. And it's like, do you trust yourself, first of all, to discern what are the right things for you? Do you trust yourself enough to say yes to the things that are really right for you and no to the things that aren't? And the people and all the people who will try to make you doubt and get confused and lost, you know? Like, will you stay clear about what you intend to feel so deeply and so profoundly that you don't even have to have that thing materialize for you to be feeling it. And so that's where doubt doesn't have the space to get in. And so this quote that I really like is so awesome. This quote's about self-rejection. And so I love it because he's basically just talking about how whatever thing you might want, ask yourself, where is that desire really coming from? You know, is it coming from a place of, I need to do this to prove myself to other people? I need to do this in order to receive love from other people? Or are you doing it because you have no other choice? It's just what you have to do, you know? Like birds sing, it's just inevitable. And so I think this quote really kind of touches on that. Like, are you working from a place that's really in harmony with yourself? Or is there this self-rejection that propels you towards whatever your goal is, whatever the thing that you want to create is? So I'm gonna read a little part of it. It's super long. But the only thing is that I can't actually see it. Okay, now I can see it. Okay. Over the years, I have come to realize that the greatest trap in our life is not success, popularity, or power, but self-rejection. Success, popularity, and power can indeed present a great temptation, but their seductive quality often comes from the way they are part of a much larger temptation to self-rejection. When we have come to believe in the voices that call us worthless and unlovable, then success, popularity, and power are easily perceived as attractive solutions. The real trap, however, is self-rejection. As soon as someone accuses me or criticizes me, as soon as I am rejected, left alone, or abandoned, I find myself thinking, well, that proves once again that I'm a nobody, my dark side says. I am no good. I deserve to be pushed aside, forgotten, rejected, and abandoned. Self-rejection is the greatest enemy of the spiritual life because it contradicts the sacred voice that calls us the beloved. Being the beloved constitutes the core truth of our existence. And so I think that this is a really big part of the intention as well, because if you have big dreams, and I feel like everyone here probably does, do you trust that you will live those dreams in a way that's very in integrity with yourself? You know, I think that it's also like this Marianne Williamson quote. It's like, we're not actually afraid of our darkness. We're afraid of our light. We're afraid of what happens when we truly express the most beautiful and harmonized version of ourselves. And so I think that this quote about self-rejection, I don't know what, I'm trying to like sort out this camera thing. Okay, now I see you all again. Okay. So yeah, I think that the biggest thing is to really be clear about that, you know, like when you have that thing that you want, how are you going to be? And what are you going to be thinking about when you're in that state? What's that version of you really like? What are they thinking about? What are they doing? So, okay, there's a couple of things in the chat. Oh, that's exactly what happened. A shocking plot twist. Love that. Oh, cool. Okay, so I'm still trying to sort this like camera thing. Okay, here we go. Yeah. So where do symbols come into all of this? This is kind of like the whole purpose of this event. So, so the power of working with colors and symbols as you relate to your intentions is that we connect with the creative parts of our brains. So it's so easy to get super logical about this and be like, oh, okay, I want to do this thing, but how? You know, and that's the trap that a lot of us get into, is like we think so much about how, and we think so much about how impossible it is. And that's where the focus goes a lot of the times. But when we work with colors and symbols, we work with feeling, we work with the energy of play, we work with the energy of who knows, you know, like that child within you that was like anything's possible. That's sort of the whole purpose of working with this. So the color aspect of the symbol practice that we're going to do next is kind of how you feel. So whatever color kind of represents your intention, it could be a few colors, it could be one color, or maybe a color doesn't come in the moment, that's also fine. But the whole point of that is to make you feel. And so, for example, let's say you have an intention to be more expressive, be more free in your expression. So, a color for that would be orange. Orange is super joyful, playful, creative, excited, you know? And so that color kind of represents that intention in a way. And so as you connect with the frequency of that color, you're connecting with the frequency of your intention rather than the thought or the concept of your intention. And so you're working with feeling rather than thinking. And that's so much more real and visceral. It's so much more happening in the now. And so symbols also work with the mind in this very automatic way. You know, you look at a symbol and you're like, oh, I recognize that, you know? And so you can even think about logos, like how many logos can you think of in your head right now? You could probably think of tons of them and exactly what they're related to. And so this is kind of the essence of what we're going to do in this practice is like, what if you had a symbol that was so powerful that wherever you are, whenever you see that symbol, you think of and feel your intention in a way that's not conceptual. It's just like the M in McDonald's, you're like, oh, McDonald's, you know, and then you start thinking of McDonald's and then you feel all the times that maybe you've seen that symbol or whatever experience is related to that, you know, and so it starts to really move more into a playful uh, feeling space, you know. And so in this case, if you've never done this before, I think simpler is better. Like you could literally draw a question mark. It doesn't matter. You could draw a dot. Like it doesn't have to be this super crazy thing. It's the thought that counts. It's the intention that counts, you know, to try to do this. Um, so yeah, right now we're gonna do a little visualization to kind of get into the essence of your intention. And then from there, we're gonna actually draw the intention. So also, I can email you guys this slideshow if you would like it, because you can redo, okay, awesome. You can redo this practice whenever you want. It's very simple. And I think it's just a nice way to connect with the energetic presence of whatever your intention is, you know, connect with more of the depth behind it, the spirit of it. So yeah, so you can close your eyes or whatever feels the most comfortable. And I want you just to think of your intention and notice any thoughts that might come up. What are the patterns? What are the ways that you tend to think about this specific intention? And maybe you see images that represent those thoughts, those beliefs, those fears. You can also think about times where you have thought about your intention in the past. How were you thinking about that intention? How does your mind like to speak about that intention? Are there affirmations that you've tried to tell yourself about this intention that just haven't landed? Are there times where this intention becomes a very mental, conceptual process? And so now that you've connected a little bit with the thought element, the patterns that come up, how do those patterns make you feel? How do your thoughts about your specific intention or many intentions you might have, how does your mind tend to make you feel about even having an intention in the first place? And notice any bodily sensations, where those sensations arise in your body. Are there feelings of contraction, tension? Are there expansive, exciting feelings? As you delve into this relationship with your intention, are there memories that might arise? Is there something that happened at some point that made you feel like this thing, this direction that you'd like to move towards is way out of your reach in some way? Or are there memories that have made you feel like this intention is beyond possible? It's so possible that this intention is leading you somewhere new completely. And so when you've kind of felt all these different things, you've realized these different thought patterns. Now I just invite you to connect with the pure essence of your intention, the essence that goes beyond all of your stories and relationships with this intention. And you can kind of imagine an aura of this essence. Maybe there are certain colors that represent this intention for you. Or maybe there are sounds. Maybe there are natural places that represent the essence of this intention, animals, plants, fruits, anything you want. And just take note of anything that you see in your mind's eye as you connect with the purest essence of your intention. Maybe the essence of your intention leads you to another world. Maybe it looks like another planet. Allow yourself to be totally free as you connect with the energetic spirit of your intention. And when you're ready, you can ask yourself if there's an image or a kind of symbol that represents this essence that you're connecting with. And allow whatever comes through. It can be simple, complex, weird, random, confusing, unclear, blurry, crystal clear. It can be anything. If you could give a kind of logo to your intention, what would that look like? Something that's instantly recognizable, that is basically the first step towards connecting with the essence. Because the essence of your intention is huge. But what symbol can remind you of that essence every time you look at it? So you can stay here with the symbol of your intention for a little bit longer. Or maybe you haven't seen a symbol, but if you feel the essence of your intention, say thank you. Offer gratitude to its existence and its connection with you, its presence in your life that takes you into possibilities that you've never lived before, that takes you into new worlds. You can also ask the essence of your intention if there's anything that you can offer to it. And now you know that this space is open for deeper communication with your intention at any moment. You can always connect with this intention. You can always feel its essence. You can always communicate with it, offer it something. And when you're ready, when you feel right, slowly open your eyes and allow yourself to feel this essence moving through you, through your body. So while you guys are still in this energy, I think it's the best time to draw what you saw. It can be as etheric as clear as you want it to be. Depends on what you saw. Oh wow, that's so cute. I love that. Um, so yeah, we're just gonna take 10 minutes to kind of ground whatever you saw in that visualization through drawing. So basically, you can start by drawing the essence of your intention, those colors that you might have seen if you saw something that's a little bit more airy. Maybe you didn't see a very particular image at first. The colors you saw, um, and yeah, just like let it be as messy as you want. And then little by little, you can go creating a symbol and yeah, see how that processes, you know. So you can start very messy, scribble something and see if through the process of feeling and bringing that to the paper, if some kind of image starts to come out of that. And yeah, and it's really focused on whatever makes you feel. So it could be a circle, it could be a triangle, you know, but if it makes you feel something that reminds you of the essence of your intention, then that's all that matters. So there are really no rules with this. um, yeah, so I'm gonna set a timer for 10 minutes. And if you have any questions in the meantime, just pop them in the chat or unmute yourselves. And yeah, starting 10 minutes now. But yeah, so as I mentioned, you can do this with many different intentions. I think I also mentioned this on the next slide. No, not the next one. Um, but you can do this in so many different ways. You can do this when you have difficult emotions that you don't know exactly how to define them or exactly what you're feeling. You know, when you're in turbulent moments, when there's a decision that you're trying to make, you can draw kind of a symbol of even your confusion or the decision that maybe you would like to make that is kind of more abstract. I think working with the abstract helps us so much to feel free, to not feel so confined, you know, of like always having a clear plan. I think it opens us up to our own creativity. And through creativity, we're able to channel, we're able to connect with higher realms and our intuition on deeper levels, you know. So the more that you use this muscle of creativity, the more that you're also connecting with deeper parts of your own essence and your own capacity to create, receive very direct messages for yourself, clear guidance for yourself. So I think creativity is a big portal. Um, so she was just talking about how, I'm just going to translate it really quick. So she was just talking about how she realized through doing this that, you know, people always talk about like coloring, like they recommend coloring to people who are very stressed out. And she was basically just saying like she never knew why. She didn't really understand the whole purpose of that. But through doing this, she realized like, oh wow, this is really therapeutic because it kind of like brings all of your emotions and puts it out onto something that you can see, you know, and your thoughts, your ideas. And so she's like, wow, I never thought of this before. I always wondered about this. And talking about how also seeing the colors helped her a lot to kind of kind of feel more grounded with everything. So that's basically what she shared. And I told her that that's basically the process of art therapy, is to take all of this stuff, whatever stuff, thoughts, ideas, concepts, things other people have told you, things people haven't told you, things that you've received, like actual channelings, and bring it into something physical that you can see, feel, put on your wall, and have it kind of around you. And the process of creating that allows you to bring the invisible to the visible. And I think that that's a really big power that this kind of art therapy work has, because you don't stay so stuck in your thoughts or your imagination. Or like even if you are channeling or have psychic intuition or things like that, if you draw it, it helps you so much not to feel like really ungrounded. It's really nice to just kind of bring it out through abstract forms or through very specific images. It doesn't really matter exactly, but to kind of express that energy in a physical way also helps the body, you know? So yeah, I want to talk a little bit about, okay, so yeah, I want to talk a little bit about logos. I thought, wow, Sierra's example is really perfect of symbols because it's so like, that's a symbol that you see all the time as well, like pause, play, stop. Um, and so I feel like it really flows into this whole part about logos a little bit, because so logos are everywhere and they make us have trust with brands. And a good logo makes us feel like we recognize that brand and what it stands for or whatever that service is. Oh, someone wrote something in the chat. Oh, yeah. You're welcome, Sierra. Um, and so it's a very unconscious communication that symbols have. And there's like honestly there's a whole study about how to make good logos. And I thought that's interesting because it really depends on the colors, it depends on the symbol that's used, like so many different things. And so here, this quote says, "A logo is more than a pretty picture. It is a symbol that conveys traits about a business through visual communication. In other words, because logos cannot speak, the real magic happens in the mind." And so you can think about all these logos that you can probably never forget. Maybe like the Nike symbol, the McDonald's symbol. I don't even know what else. There's so many, like the Pepsi symbol or something. There's so many images that we've been bombarded with since we were kids. And those images make us feel a sense of trust because the more that you see those images, like let's say you've never had a Pepsi before, but you've seen that image your whole life. If someone offers you one and you see the can and it has that symbol, you're going to recognize it, even though you've never had it before. And so I think that's the power of working with this kind of psychology with symbols and our intentions, because when that thing comes to you, since you've worked so deeply on the unconscious aspect of whatever your intention is, it will feel normal to receive that thing. It won't feel so crazy. And I think, you know, having that kind of symbol in your house, where you wake up, where you go to bed, in your bathroom, like these kinds of spots where we're a little bit more open, I think is really powerful because you're bombarding yourself with different images. And that's basically the whole thing with, you know, a capitalist society, is like the more that you're bombarded with images and billboards and all this stuff, the more likely you are to buy. But where do you buy from? You buy from an emotional space of trusting whatever that thing is. You buy from believing in whatever that thing is. And so if you kind of hack that same psychology for anything that you want to create, then naturally over time you will feel a deeper connection with your intention on an unconscious level, because that's where most of the work is. You know, like we can say like, oh, why isn't this thing working out for me? But normally it's because we don't feel ready to receive whatever that thing is. And so the power of symbols makes it so our mind recognizes that thing instantly, and colors make us feel that thing. And so whenever, you know, like I'm just going to take the example of Sierra, you're working on your spiritual path. And so these really ethereal blues and purples will help you so much to kind of connect with this more otherworldly energy. And so whenever you feel kind of stuck or you feel like, oh, why don't I feel connected? You can associate those colors with kind of spiritual opening. And whenever you think of those colors, imagine those colors, paint with those colors, whatever it is, you're inviting a spiritual energy into your space. And you can do that with all colors, of course. I don't think one color is more spiritual than others. Um, but purple is known, it's associated with the crown chakra, and it's associated with kind of connecting the body with the other worlds. It's a very kind of, it's like a universal color. It connects you with other worlds. So does magenta actually as well. So yeah, that's a whole other talk, honestly. But but yeah, like having a color that you can call on as kind of a spiritual entity as well. That's the power of color, in my opinion, because colors are frequencies. And so if you call on a certain frequency because you want that frequency in your life, you want that frequency in your body, you want that frequency in the way that you think and act, but it's hard for you to integrate that frequency. Looking at color makes your body feel that thing. And so that's the power of having colors around, or having your painting around and seeing those colors and remembering those colors. And when you're in a moment where you feel a little bit torn up about whatever you're trying to create, you can just close your eyes and imagine that color surrounding you. And I'm like, oh, you're being bathed in that energy right now. And so that's a little bit of the power. And so one question that I think's really powerful with this practice is, what if you create an unforgettable symbol? Like, in a world of so many unforgettable symbols that we've been brainwashed with our whole lives, what if you create one that's very specific to you? How would that impact your life? And I think that's kind of the goal of this practice, is to create a symbol that you'll never forget. Even if you lose your drawing, if you have that image kind of burned into your mind here, if you never forget it, you'll always hold that with you no matter where you go. Oh, I have another slide about this. Okay. Um, so yeah, when you create an unforgettable symbol, you have branded your intention. You have created an image you can remember at any moment and connect with the essence of your intention. And you can use this to move beyond mental drama, what other people say, any doubts, and be instantly reminded of a deeper truth. And so you can also think about this in terms of spiritual symbols. What happens when people look at the cross? People instantly feel a connection with that religion, and there are all kinds of different uses of this symbol, of course. There are negative ones as much as positive ones. And so your symbol also shouldn't be used to shame yourself either. Your symbol should be used to excite yourself, inspire yourself, and to feel like you're moving forward. But yeah, you can even think about, like, I made a post about cave paintings the other day, like last week. And these paintings were used to tell, like, these symbols of animals, people, hunters, all kinds of different things were used to show people where to go, what happened there, what danger is there, what they should look out for. And so symbols were actually one of the first forms of written communication before we had words and complex language, and a sense of verbal language. So images speak to a very profound part of ourselves. It's something that our ancestors recognize. It's something that we learn to recognize from a very early part of our species. And so connecting with this is also, I think connecting with symbols also really helps us to connect with that essence, a more primal essence of being a human being, a very simple aspect of being a human being, which works in symbols. So yeah, so you can use colors to feel that truth and symbols to clearly see it. Is there anything that anyone wants to say? Does anyone have any questions or anything? Okay, so yeah, I just want to thank you guys for being here. This was so much fun. I was really excited to have this. I plan to do monthly free events because I really like the space that opens up, and I really love to kind of open these new ideas and new ways of doing things. Um, so yeah, as I mentioned before, you can use this same practice in so many different ways. You can use it for all kinds of big life questions you might be having, like maybe you have an existential question and you're like, "Oh, there's so much information about this," you know? And so I think it's a really great way to filter all that information. So, yeah, the possibilities are super endless. Love all of this. This space was very opening for me, and I'm also, like, so relaxed. Oh, that's awesome. I'm so glad. Yeah, I really love creating these spaces. I feel like it's just nice to come together and have a shared intention. Aw, thank you guys. Love being able to find a symbol and a color to actually center myself with. Aw, that's so awesome. Yeah. Aw, thank you guys so much. So there's gonna be a replay. If you guys want me to email you the presentation, I can do that so that you can have the visualization and stuff as well. Um, yeah, and if you have any questions or would like to delve deeper, my email is here. You can visit my website. I think most of you guys found me through Instagram, so yeah. Yeah, I'm always open to talk about this stuff. I love talking about it. So, well, thank you guys for being here. I hope to see you around soon. And yeah, I hope that you guys had fun with this.